Josh, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Why so difficult?
Why so difficult?
I'll refrain from making my monkey noises until later.
How many times did I say that? Like 3-4 times?
I don't know. Actually, real question. Did either of you recognize someone famous under the blue makeup?
Nope.
Was there somebody famous under there?
Yep.
You know, they did look familiar, but I did not recognize whoever it was.
Well, usually he wears green makeup. Or occasionally, or sometimes he plays gay fashion designers in the 60s. Ben Mendelsohn.
Ah.
Andy Howlett?
No, not that green. I
got excited. I was like, a Buffy connection?
No, that would have been no, we're talking Australian.
Oh.
Us Anzac people who wear green in Marvel. He's the guy in Captain Captain Marvel.
The Skrull?
Yeah.
Oh.
Among many other roles, Ben Mendelsohn is quite an actor.
Ben Mendelsohn, I know that name.
Yeah.
Oh, he's big. He's
big.
Yeah.
And he's one of the Wah and Suk. He's Suk of the Wah and Suk.
I love that. I got so excited thinking it was Lauren. I'm embarrassed now.
Don't worry, I'll edit that out.
No, keep it in. You should keep it in.
Hi, friends.
Howdy, y'all.
Salutations.
And welcome to Muppet Sex and Trauma. I'm Sara Ezzat. I make the Fat Culture Critic videos on YouTube.
I'm Josh Gosdin, and I'm just a big old nerd.
And we have another big old nerd with us today.
Hey.
How you doing, Ren?
Returning fan favorite. Is that yes. Ren the YouTuber?
Yes, it is Ren the Barbarian, the YouTuber.
Good, it's working.
Yeah. Operant conditioning.
And we are here to talk about the very unique mix of tones kind of episode that is I Yench, you Yench.
We love tonal dissonance. But it's good tonal dissonance. It's
Farscape.
It is Farscape. And I feel like there was a bracelet on each plot. So that at least the theme was connected, if not the tone.
I Yench, You Yench was written by Matt Ford, the last of his 3 episodes for Farscape, and directed by Peter Andrukidis. The atmosphere on Moya is very tense after John's decision to take on Scorpius. Dargo and Rygel are away on a special mission as the rest of the crew prepare to meet a medical ship that will take away their Scaran guest Nigel. Jewel wants to leave with him, but Gianna won't let her, rather forcefully. She senses something bad is coming.
At a deserted diner, somewhere in space, Rygel and Dargo are waiting to meet someone. Enter Scorpius. But for once, he's expected. What's not expected is the parcel of goons he and Braca have brought with them. After some posturing and violence, the goons leave. Now Rygel and Scorpius can get down to business negotiating safe passage for John to come aboard the command carrier. It'd be a shame if anything got in the way of smooth negotiations. In the kitchen of the diner, Voody the cook and Esk the waitress worry about their unusual customers.
On Moya, everything was going fine with the medical ship until unexpected peacekeepers turn up. Mindful of the need to protect the medical ship, Aaron and Trace agree to ask Talon to fire on the peacekeepers. He blows them out of the sky. So, okay, job done, right? Right, Talon? Right? Oh, Talon, why are you pointing your gun at the medical ship? Oh dear. A scared Talon who thought he was defending his mother has just killed 600 innocent people. Something bad happened.
Back at the diner, something good happened. Negotiations are going well. Rygel has convinced Scorpius that John sees him as the lesser evil than the Scarans, and so is willing to help him unlock wormholes if Scorpius can guarantee his safety. Scorpius presents a pair of Yench bracelets, which he demonstrates on Braca and Dargo. The bracelets transfer any pain from one person to another. So if one person is harmed, then so is the other. Well, okay, negotiations are progressing. It would be a shame if anything... Oh, hello, blue furry monkey men with guns, here to rob the place. Esk is scared, but somehow Voody seems way too comfortable about all this.
Moya is very worried about her son, and she isn't the only one. As awful as it is, the crew decide that he's a danger to himself and others, and he needs to be shut down and disarmed. They intend to bring him back, but he will be changed. Moya isn't prepared to accept this. She thinks she can reach him, but when she tries, he turns his gun on her and shoots.
At the tonally inconsistent diner, it turns out that the blue furry monkey men are with guns are in fact incompetent blue furry monkey men with guns. They shoot Braca, incapacitating him and Dargo, who is still wearing the bracelet. Oh, and they were hired by Voody to burn the place down in an interstellar insurance scam. They are incompetent blue furry monkey men with guns for hire. But now they have unexpected hostages and are debating ransoming either Scorpius or Rygel. Incompetent as they are, Rygel and Scorpius easily manipulate them against each other, weaponizing them. Esk is upset that Voody planned the heist, and as it's going so badly, he tries to call it off. The blue furry monkey men shoot him.
On a wounded Moya, Aaron seeks John's advice on how to get Moya on board with her plan for Talon. He advises her to open herself up to Moya, be honest. And with Pilot's consent, she does just that. She tells Moya how much she shared with Talon, how deeply she cares for him, and that she really sees no other way. Moya consents to help.
Having exhausted all other options, Rygel and Scorpius decide to cooperate. The blue furry monkey men with guns have settled on Rygel for the ransom and insist at gunpoint that he shoot Braca to prove he's not in league with the Peacekeepers. Rygel shoots Scorpius instead.
Grace, John, and Aaron board Talon and proceed with the shutdown. John offers to Aaron that he can do her part, but she says no, it is important for her to be here.
At Tonal Shift Diner, Rygel tells the blue furries he's going to take a kill souvenir from Scorpius, but is actually checking that the cunning villain was, as Rygel guessed, wearing body armor. Rygel tells Scorpius the location of the knife Esk had left out, and Scorpius gives Rygel a one-shot pulse blaster that he smuggled inside his head. With the help of Dargo and the Yench bracelets, Scorpius and Rygel are able to take out both furries before finally finishing their negotiations. As they leave, a tearful Esk burns down Tonal Shift Diner in honor of her beloved Voody.
With Dargo and Rygel back on board, the crew are as ready as they can be to take on the command carrier. But first, John and Aaron check in with each other for one last tonal shift to heartbreak. Well, as Aaron says, they will finish this thing as they started, together. So, initial thoughts?
Should we talk about the fun plot or the sad plot first?
Well, let's start with initial thoughts.
What strikes your fancy then? Yeah. Just sort of,
overall, give us a
waft it towards you. Yes, see what you pick up.
Your taster plate of what did they call it?
Lastoon or something like that.
So my thought while watching the episode was, this is Farscape does Pulp Fiction.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's like these two guys, they're at this diner, or these four guys in this case, they're at this diner hashing out their own business, and then all of a sudden these two wild cards come in and, hold the place hostage, and they have to figure out how to get through it.
Yep.
I think that makes Rygel Samuel L. Jackson.
Is he or Scorpius?
Do they speak English on what? English, motherfucker, do you speak it? Or whatever they speak on Hynerian.
Because he's going to be like, for my name is the Lord, over anybody else in that room.
No, see, I would put that as Scorpius is going to be the for my name is the Lord.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, Rygel's the one who's like, I gotta go take a shit.
They might have done Pulp Fiction with two Samuel Jacksons.
which is better, in my opinion.
Could you imagine?
The more SLJ, the better.
And really, this episode, one of the things about this episode is it really tells you that Scorpius and Rygel should never be on the same side.
I love them together.
The universe is doomed if those two work together.
I loved it though. The two most conniving people in the galaxy.
Oh, absolutely.
No, like,
first like, negotiating and then working together.
Yeah, but if they become a team, everybody else is fine.
Yikes.
Unquestionably, yeah. Unquestionably.
That team would never last long though.
Yeah, that is the definition of two tops trying to out-top each other.
Speaking of tops and bottoms.
The universe's most bottomy bottom is got a new pair of handcuffs.
Which he's only wearing one of. Like that's half the fun.
One of them is going on Dargo.
It's a nice secret wrist cuff. Mm-hmm. It's a secret wrist cuff for daytime or playtime.
Yeah. It's like instead of a collar, he wears the bracelets.
Yeah, I'm not here to kink shame. Braca needs what he needs.
That bit when he goes, pay homage to the Dominar, it's like, you might as well have said, lick the Dominar's boots.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And he was eager to comply.
Loaning out his sub to another Dom in our Dominar tricks.
As I said, everybody's got their kink.
We've already seen Rygel in leather, so.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Dargo is caught in the middle of all this.
Yeah, Dargo is kind of like, this is not my
scene.
In
more ways than one.
But I'm just here. I had fun with both of the plots. We'll get into it a little bit more, but I am loving this very melancholy, very dark Farscape that we're getting these last few episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think the soundtrack has touched anything but a cello since the cartoon episode.
Oh no, they're two good plots. Well, I mean, I have some issues with the diner one because it gets a little irritating with the blue guys, but it is a bit like, here's a plate of mashed potatoes and here's a plate of, I don't know, like I'm the metaphors aren't metaphoring today.
You're trying.
It is too hot and too smoky, but like they're two. I'm trying to say that they are two. It's like, I don't know, like marjules and something else that they're both good, but they really feel weird together on the same plate.
Feels like they had.
That was a very long walk.
I was going to see how many more food puns you were going to try to pull up.
Feels like they had two incomplete episodes, and they were like, "Let's just push these together to make an episode."
The tone shift wasn't as jarring for me, although I did appreciate how different both stories were, because they didn't go full farce. They didn't go full comedy with the diner plot. Like they stayed pretty serious with the diner plot. Were there comedic moments? Yes, but they didn't go full slapstick the way Farscape can sometimes. And so I think that's why I was able to stay more grounded as it shifted between locations in the episode.
Yeah, I appreciate in this episode they didn't give you like full on tonal whiplash through its like, like funny diner Pulp Fiction plot versus really sad, somber, we have to put Old Yeller temporarily to sleep plot.
we went full on. We committed Talon. They literally said he's a danger to himself and others.
Yeah, Section 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Poor Talon.
Poor medical ship too, man.
Oh yeah.
And poor Moya.
And Najkul. We had one nice scare and then we blew him up.
And he was fucking flirting with Jewel. Like, shoot your shot, Najkul. Excellent. Very well done.
She seemed to be, she wasn't totally adverse to it.
No, she was like, I'm going to pack up and I'm going to run away with him. And
it's
John is like, you're my girlfriend.
Like Jules' jealous bisexual girlfriend was like, no, you're staying here, honey. Speaking of tops and bottoms.
God, I love those two.
Speaking of a top off, yeah. Well, a brat off, really.
Yeah, except in this case, it wasn't two tops working together. It was two tops butting heads.
Yeah,
Gianna's a power bottom.
Gianna's
a power bottom who's being forced into a top scenario.
Yeah. Being forced to switch.
Yeah.
They're both just thoroughly brats to the core.
That's really, you ain't wrong about that.
This episode is brought to you by not being monetized.
Yeah, no kidding. If you'd like to learn more about the BDSM community, apparently keep listening to us.
I mean,
I've already made a couple references that went over your heads. So,
likewise, my friend.
Same.
And we look forward to our commenters picking up the things that each of us missed from our particular.
Speaking of tonal shifts, this episode podcast.
Yeah. But I mean, how could they put Braca in handcuffs?
Come on.
Handcuffed. They cuffed him to somebody else. This was a cuckold scenario.
with sensation.
Sensation play.
Yeah, yeah, there was.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Not supposed to include shooting. That's a little outside the parameters of the scenes usually.
It's supposed to be safe and sane.
And most of all, consensual, which it pretty much wasn't on Dargo's part.
Nothing about the diner scene was consensual, but both of you went, at the same time.
Except the diner scene is basically a consent negotiation for an upcoming scene.
That gets interrupted by two furries who were obnoxious.
Oh God.
Like the monkey noises were really grating on me. I didn't mind anything else about them, but the monkey noises were really grating on me.
Though they really went in hard with that affect, whatever it was. Let me tell you something.
I swear, Ben Mendelsohn is on track for an Oscar someday. But it's also Blue Furry Man.
Everybody's going to start somewhere, but the number of times that Farscape goes out of its way to make their aliens juicy and gross, like I'm tracking that all throughout this entire series, and it's starting to get to me, guys. It's starting to when lead monkey man was talking at one point and spittle just flew out of his mouth and hung onto his chin whiskers. I was like, I'm done. What is this, Hamilton? Like, I'm out.
embrace the juice, embrace the goo.
That's what I've been telling myself. But
this was written by Matt Ford. That's the guy with the band called Machine Gun Fellatio.
Well, sure, man. Get your kink on then.
He's previously written Eat Me and Meltdown. So yeah.
As someone who regularly watches Stuart Gordon films, I didn't blink at anything in this episode.
That's not a reference I'm familiar with.
Stuart Gordon directed such classics as Reanimator and From Beyond, both of which are H.P. Lovecraft adaptations starring Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, the one thing that Farscape is missing, a Jeffrey Combs.
Jeffrey Combs.
Yes.
I mean, we kind of have Francesca as Farscape's own Jeffrey Combs, but it would be nice to have a Jeffrey Combs appearance.
Oh, I would love that. I'm a big Combs fan.
I feel like I have a hard time finding things Jeffrey Combs. Like I really have to comb through a lot of my media.
I see what you did there.
So did I like that?
Josh's kink is bad puns.
I can't begin to describe to you how accurate that is.
Actually, I will shame that kink occasionally. But kink shaming is my kink.
No.
Oh, this has gone off the rails. We're only 30 minutes in.
Okay,
Everything's gonna be
okay. It's because I think we don't want to talk about the serious stuff. So let's talk more about the silly stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Voody and Esk. Although,
Oh.
I mean, I swear I hear his name is Foodie every time.
That's what I heard. I thought, oh, Foodie, because he's a cook. That's cute.
The wiki thingy assures me that his name is Voody. But
Voody
yeah,
the Foodie.
Voody the Foodie.
Your ability to pick up or using the Farscape compendium to get all of the names of all of the ancillary characters that they say fucking once in the episode and then just blow by, and I'm distracted by the spitting blue monkey men.
You didn't pick it. You didn't assume it was Foodie as well.
I didn't hear their names. Like I missed it entirely.
Well, she said it a few times.
Yeah. He does have quite the mullet.
Oh
yes.
Yeah.
How about that insurance scam?
Oh dear.
Like that I think, except for the spitting monkey man, I think that was probably the part that actually made me roll my eyes. Was an insurance scam is the plot, really?
Yeah, it felt almost like this episode was actually like his story and like they just like our guys just kind of got sucked into it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the Pulp Fiction outline works really well.
Yeah,
but like an insurance scam is such a pedestrian plot line.
I know, and like space
I'm not expecting
insurance.
I'm not expecting an insurance scam in Farscape. I didn't even know they had insurance in Farscape. Who insures these things? Who goes out of their? They're in the uncharted territories.
Probably Sebastians.
But they're like, how do you what?
And then her plan is if we cook good enough, whatchamacallit, then the peacekeepers will hire us as catering staff.
That makes marginally more sense.
if the waitress gives better service, she gets a bigger tip. No, not always, sadly.
Not always, no, not sadly, no.
I feel like these two are definitely in a whole sitcom of their own.
Exactly.
The ridiculously optimistic girl and her Muppet and her mulleted man.
It's a crossover episode with a show that doesn't exist.
And then he goes, "Burn it down for me," and I was like, "What?
Why?
How is that the emotional anchor you're going to leave your girlfriend with your dying breath?" What?
And then she ends up burning it up anyway.
For what?
It's like, okay. Most normal day ever.
Insurance scam. Oh my god! Listen, I've put up a lot with this show.
Then we need. You see, I'm not allowed to spoil the whole element of the next episode, which is the insurance assessor going to visit the Burns.
I swear to God, I believe you. Like that's where this episode has led me.
They had to get the Blue Monkey Men in there somehow.
They did a damn fine crowbar of a job. That was absolutely the almost knocked me out of the episode point for me was the insurance scam.
Yeah,
everything else I could deal with. Everything else, even spit flying out of his mouth as he's talking, I could deal with everything else. That's fine. That's fine.
Why is it so difficult?
I relate to that sentiment. I say that to myself often.
No, that's what the writers were saying when they were trying to come up with a veritable reason why these two Blue Monkey Men come in and hold them hostage.
No, I like that it is something as utterly stupid as an insurance.
Exactly.
No.
I'm more forgiving of a plot contrivance than you are, Josh, apparently.
You really are.
Maybe it's because I'm a writer and I get the struggle.
You might.
My rule is contrivance that starts the drama is acceptable. Contrivance to finish the drama, like to get people out of trouble, is the problem.
Yeah, but you can contrive better than that.
Like if a wrecking ball had come in and killed the Blue Monkey Men at the end of the episode and solved everything, that would have sucked. But
I really wanted to try that dish that she kept making. Also, like it looked really good.
Lemix or whatever.
Yeah,
Lurvik. That's what it was. Lurvik and Marjules.
He kind of just looked like yellow moss on a plate.
It looked like paella, and I love paella.
To be fair, I'm watching it on my computer screen, which is kind of small. And
Oh, fair.
Well, at least Rygel got his marjoles that he's always after too.
I know
delicious
but
too.
at the end, where he crunches down on it, he's like, I'm like, the puppetry on this show will never cease to amaze me. I know it's Jim Henson, I know it's the Muppets, but like, still, it's just how do you make it?
Last episode we had drag Muppets so we could have Muppet sex, and this episode we have Muppet eating again.
And doing a lot of really good face emoting as well.
Muppet digestive tract.
Yeah. So yeah, this whole it is interesting to see them bringing Scorpius in, and Scorpius believes that John has, or at least do we think Scorpius believes that John has decided to help?
He does seem to buy it.
Yeah, it's kind of like sort of, well, they are the bigger threats, but also, like, I mean, I wouldn't trust people like that, as far as I could throw them.
Well, Scorpius is super strength.
I trust you. That's true. I trust you in as far as I can control the situation.
And that's why the bracelets, and why initially Scorpius is like, I absolutely will not be the one who gets hooked up to John. Are you fucking kidding me? No, but he actually does seem to buy it. And Dargo and Rygel do a really good job of selling it.
And it does make sense. It's like they both have a common enemy.
Yeah.
This isn't like Game of Thrones season 8, spoilers ahead, where, yes, we are all fighting for this throne, but also there is a horde of ice zombies coming for us. We need to join forces.
And I think it also plays on a lot of Scorpius's internalized racism in a way that works to Dargo and Rygel's advantage.
And also, like, Scorpius he is utterly ruthless and believes that the Scarens are the, devil.
Sure. Which is kind of ironic, considering in, like, the last episode and the beginning of this episode, we had a nice Scaren.
Nachko was nice.
Yeah, but no, what made you think that Scorpius was a reliable narrator?
Yeah, exactly. There's no, like, one of the things about Star Trek's world building, like, that drives me crazy is that I'm forgetting the word for it right now, but like how all the alien cultures, they just have like this one defining trait, and they are all like that. And if you deviate, that. And if you deviate from that, you're a weirdo. Like, all Klingons love to fight, all Vulcans are logical, all Ferengi are greedy. It's like, people are of any race are complex.
Yeah, I mean, it can be interesting to do that when you want to explore what it's like to be othered in a community, because, like, there are Westerns, the Western hegemony tries very much to be a monoculture, and tries to squeeze all of us out who don't fit into it. So it can be interesting to do it when you're doing it complexly, but unfortunately, often Star Trek, and still current Star Trek, can fail at that. Sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't.
It's a common gripe of mine of the writing of 90s Trek, Berman Trek, where they would go out of their way of, like, explaining, like, this is French Creole cuisine, and then they'd be like, this is a Vulcan dish, and, like, just say it's Vulcan, a human dish.
Yeah. Isn't Vulcan supposed to be like 3 times the size of Earth? Like, there have to be like other regions and countries and cultures within the Vulcan planet. Like, what's going?
Well, apparently, Strange New Worlds can't even tell the difference between culture and genetics. So,
don't get me started on Strange New Worlds.
that excerpt from San Diego Comic-Con just dropped for the context of when we were recording this, and I am displeased. So we will stop talking about. We'll get away from Star Trek.
Back to Farscape.
Zara's been triggered. We have to move on.
You get 3 Trekkies in a room,
and 2 of us are about to go off if we could, but we're not going to, because it will be old.
This is going to turn into a whole other debate.
Yes.
So insurance
We're
scams.
trying so hard to avoid the sad part of the story. So yeah, insurance scams.
Maybe we should get to the other part though. We do have limited time.
Poor Talon.
I was up front that this is my favorite part and favorite like aspect of the show right now. So
it just felt like Old Yeller to me.
It is. It's just so
he's a good dog, but he's sick.
I was getting more like troubled teen or like, drug addicted youth or something like that. Like it felt less Old Yeller and more. What's that Steve Carell, Timothy Chalamet movie? Steve's his father. Timothy Chalamet is addicted to drugs. I can't think of the name of it. Somebody in the comments help me out. But it feels much more like that kind of a thing. And, especially the way that Talon lashes out at Moya, which I almost fucking cried.
Oh my God.
When he shot Moya.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there is a trope that it's also treading on that's really unfortunate. And this is what the trope is actually called. For folks, I wouldn't use the term otherwise, but referred to as the tragic mulatto trope, which is a kind of story about characters from a mixed background who are presented as tragic, as kind of to demonstrate the undesirability of
mixing races.
Yeah, miscegenation.
Yeah,
I was trying to remember the big word. Yeah. So even though, like, those relationships have always happened, often non-consensually, and so there have been a lot of stories of, the mixed race person that has no place to exist in society and has a tragic life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel like Talon treads in those waters because there is something sort of fundamentally unmixing about his existence as a conscious warship, because it's clearly fucking with his head. And I can see, like, there's a lot that's really interesting about that, especially as we have a sentient ship, and we talk a lot in this show about responsible use of weapons. And so the whole thing about having effectively a child and, like, I don't know, like, effectively like Old Yeller. Old Yeller has a cannon. And that there's a lot about that's really interesting story potential, but there's also, we do have to recognize that it also treads on this unfortunate trope.
How would you guys say that Scorpius falls under that trope?
We talked about, Sara and I really spent a lot of time unpacking that, especially in relation to Jothi. And if you're curious about it, you should browse through our catalog and head back to season 2 finale. And the way that the two of them kind of contrasted each other when it came to how each one of them dealt with their own internalized categorism. And we were able to kind of unpack that also for our own personal journeys. That is something that Sara and I have in common, of being mixed ethnic backgrounds at the very least. I'm not sure if race is the right term for both of us, but
the race is a social construct. So
is gender. By the way.
Yeah, and I think in terms of, I think that Middle Eastern and Mexican are both racialized in our society. So yeah,
white certainly is.
Yeah, definitely.
White is very much a social construct.
Also true.
Definitely. Yeah. But of course, you and I both came from chosen relationships, which is a very different thing than both Scorpius and Talon are also.
But oddly enough, not Jothi.
No, not Jothi, which is the contrast that Scorpius just could not understand.
Yeah.
And so could only see it in Scorpius can only see his mixed identity in terms of hating one or the other. And but Talon doesn't really have the ability to understand because although Talon and Moya are sentient creatures, their sentience doesn't seem to be in the same kind of way that humans are.
They're a lot more, I guess, prone to their instincts is what I read.
Yeah.
So which is why it's easier to put an old Yeller label on it or to think of them as space whales or whatever like that. I also actually didn't clock the mixed race element of Talon because in my mind, I have been viewing Talon in much more in a Frankenstein's monster story.
Mm.
He's the product of science run amok. And yes, he was created and birthed non-consensually. And I mean, Moya was impregnated non-consensually thanks to Dargo's accidental kick. But it all, to me, it was very much like, and especially as the season has progressed, it's been very much like a journey of Frankenstein's monster.
See, having studied monster theory, Frankenstein monster actually has roots in the discussion of miscegenation. So
there we go.
I mean, literally mixing parts to build one person. It makes sense.
Yeah, it is when viewed from, and it's one of those things because in the book, it's quite sympathetic to the creation. Who is like, why have you created me? But then the films in the 50s had it very much from the
it's alive.
Yeah, and they had it very much from the hegemonic perspective. So he's just like a monster and a threat.
Unless you watch Young Frankenstein, and then he's also a good dancer.
Well, that's the thing. Monster theory is one thing. It's one of those flexible, interesting things about whether things come from the perspective of the other that will be sympathetic to the monster, or the perspective of the hegemon, which will be look down on the monster.
And time period too is always really important to take into account. Like, you think about King Kong movies now are like a lot more sympathetic to the monkey, whereas when they were first made in the 50s, they were not so sympathetic. It screams very much, we are afraid of this being who came from darkest Africa stealing our white women.
30s.
30s.
Yeah.
So
monster theory is fun, folks.
Talon also doesn't seem to, well, at the very least, not in a way that I feel like that I've gleaned from the text. Talon doesn't seem to have the same kind of internalized categorism that Scorpius does. He much more seems like he doesn't actively hate parts of himself. He is struggling to integrate them instead of the way that Scorpius views his scar and roots, where he actively shuns them and doesn't try to integrate them. Doesn't mind the super strength, but otherwise he shuns them.
Yeah, he's also a little bit like someone dealing with a particularly bad mental illness.
This is where I get the commitment coding at the end.
Yeah, it is. The story has written him into a position where they don't have any other choices, which is sad. I mean, it's understandable and it's heartbreaking, and it's sort of. This is what Farscape does. They insisted that all choices would have consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And when they made when they started down the road of making a sentient gunship, there was a child in the hands of Grace, who is not stable
fellow. Yeah.
we have seen the steps in this, and he also got a bunch of Stark into him as well.
And his entire existence, people have been trying to control him or hunt him or hurt him. Like he's used to violence.
Yeah, poor kid.
Big time. And poor Moya, like, golly.
Yeah.
To
Both love your child and be simultaneously scared of them.
yeah, absolutely. I think that's what I was struggling to articulate. Yeah, it's heartbreaking, that whole thing.
And she's probably wondering too, like, if he hadn't been taken from her so young.
Yeah.
If she hadn't scared him off.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of if onlys.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, I think I really appreciate some of the work that Lonnie Tupu is doing as Crace.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't vocalized much of it, but there is a responsibility for what's happened because he stole Ellen.
Yep.
And
Got that sad walk off of the command deck after they finally shut Talon down. Like the way the camera just hung on him as he just walked into the black. That was also very affecting.
And after Moya, he has been Talon's primary parent character. So you have to wonder, how much does he think that a lot of that came from him?
Yeah.
And he was one of the architects of the experiment of creating Talon.
And initially he stole Talon for purely selfish reasons. Like, he didn't give a shit about Talon when he took him.
Yeah. He's like, ooh, cool, like gunship. I can use that.
Yeah. Now he cares about Talon, and that's evident.
Yeah.
But he didn't when he took him.
And the damage is done.
Look at this gunship. You've messed him up. Now he has trauma.
Yeah, I mean there is a child abuse narrative here too, and all of this on an
episode where there's BDSM
blue furry guys
bracelets and blue monkey guys.
But like all of this is projected onto like a CGI and a set, and like the most communication we've had from Talon is bloop 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 bloop.
Did you notice, and hopefully you can help me remember where it came from, but there was blood on the blade of the gun that dropped down from the ceiling in Talon.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from.
But that was so like that was God, this episode was so fucking good in so many ways.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it was blood or if it was meant to be like oil or something, but it
looked like blood.
Looked like blood.
It looked like a bloody blade.
Symbolically, it was blood.
Yeah.
Sometimes a cigar is not a cigar.
And his hostile reaction to John was noticeable.
Claudia Black deserves all of the accolades and flowers in the world.
Yeah.
Give her all the laurels.
Hell of a performance.
The line that she had of what was it? Let us take away your pain, when she was talking to Talon. It felt like she was channeling her inner Zahn. And in a season where we've dealt so much with mommy issues, especially putting Eren in the center of that theme, it felt very fitting.
And in the season where we lost Zahn, and specifically lost Zahn for Eren.
Yeah. She has to kind of take up Zahn's torch.
Claudia Black is portraying barely holding it together so well. Like,
my God.
Every single scene she's in, she seems like she is one grain of rice away from completely breaking down.
And then there's John, who is trying to support her while also respecting the boundaries that he is not her John, as he reminds her. That is heartbreaking.
I'm not him. I'm me.
Yes. Oh, that line. Damn it. There's so much here.
Yeah.
So the thing that held me together through the insurance scam was the bracelets being like a very in your face illustration of the theme of shared pain this episode. You know, it's there's a lot of shared pain going back and forth between John and Eren. that they're having trouble expressing, but they're both clearly feeling each other's pain. Talon makes his pain everybody's problem, especially when he shoots Moya in the face. And even Krace is feeling Talon's pain. It's so the bracelets themselves. The bracelets, ironically, were what held everything together for me. See what I did there?
And the two beings sort of feeling each other's sensations is also a little bit of a reminder of the two Johns.
Mm-hmm.
And and I love the scene where Eren talks to Moya.
Jeez.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, just
mother to stepmother.
The only real person in that scene was Claudia Black. She was sitting in an empty set in front of a animatronic puppet,
talking to the walls.
Yeah, and making me like weep.
Oh, the groans that they have, like in like response to Eren. It's like even without language, you can feel the anguish that Moya is feeling. Just
yeah, and the fact that the way that she seeks consent from Pilot before speaking to Moya, like, will you get Moya's consent for me to speak? Even though she could have spoken at any time because Moya can hear them, but this like very gentle, respectful approach.
It's like when someone is upset and is in another room and you knock on the door and you say, "Hey, can I come in? Can we talk?"
It's not really surprising that we get this sort of visualize, this representation of the importance of consent in the episode where we got furries and BDSM and sensation bracelets and the whole.
That's where the consensual comes in. Unfortunately, not for Dargo, but
yeah, there was consent, but it was not informed consent, which is key.
It's Claudia Black is so good. And so is Ben, because the scenes where he's continuously like trying to see if make sure she has what she needs. We can finish this if you need to step away. No, I need to be here. Okay.
Yeah. On another show, John might not have been such a patient person who could like step outside of himself and care about someone else's emotional needs above his own. But on this show, it's like he's just so great.
Well, even at other points in his arc, he wouldn't have been able to be this patient.
No, he would have barreled through.
That other point, she wouldn't have been able to communicate her needs as well. My screen, there it is. Screen went dark. Yeah, it is beautiful. And then let's talk about that last scene, where she asks if he is sure about this. Some things are worth dying for.
We started this thing together and we're gonna finish it together.
And I don't know if I can go through that again. I don't know if I can watch that happen again. That is just oh, there is just so much there.
It's so odd because it's like, John died, but also John did not die. And really what it is that like a memory died. Like, because we still have John the person, but all those memories that him and Eren built together on Talon, that died.
Yeah.
Well, no, there was a person who died. And
there was.
And Eren still has those memories. And God damn it, why so difficult?
Nobody ever really dies, but everybody always dies.
Well, no one is truly gone while their name is still spoken. As Terry Pratchett would say. He'd say his name. Yeah. Yeah. Why so difficult? Because it makes for a so much better, richer story for it to be so difficult and to tear us all to shreds. Uh,
I think in retrospect, the diner story is there to sort of soften the blow, because by itself, the old Yeller story would have been really, really sad.
Yeah, I mean that's why you do B plots, but
Yeah.
I like I said, I applaud that they didn't go full slapstick, but didn't go full
Yeah.
farce. Because even though the blue furries were annoying, they were still menacing.
It
Yeah.
softens it. It does not neuter it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it.
Yeah. Incompetence with guns are in a way and are often a bigger threat than competent people with guns. I mean,
What?
is also like Helen is incompetent with a gun as
Mhm.
well. Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the movie, but there was a movie with Danny Kaye where he had to sword fight someone, the comedian, yeah, and this guy he was sword fighting was like a trained sword fighter, and Danny Kaye, obviously got some teaching, but the thing is, his character was supposed to be sort of like out of control and not know what he was doing, so he's just wildly slashing his arms all over the place. And the guy who he fought, the seasoned swordsman, was like, that was the most dangerous fight I have ever been in, and way more dangerous than fighting somebody who is of my caliber in sword fighting. Because
it sounds like the court jester.
The court jester, that was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say I'm too mad.
To the most skilled swordsman, the most dangerous one is not the second most skilled swordsman. It's the swordsman who has no skill or experience at all.
Yeah, a weapon that you don't know how to use is a weapon that'll be used against you, or someone you love, or there's just no.
That's how you get beginner's luck in games too. That's how somebody can sit down to Call of Duty for the very first time and absolutely wreck the entire team, or somebody sits down at the poker table for the first time and winds up winning it all because they're so inexperienced that they're unpredictable.
Beginner's
luck.
They
can also lose their shirt.
That's the second time they try it, because the first time they think they're awesome.
It's that Dunning-Kruger effect.
Not that's ever happened to me or anything. It's just
sure.
I still have my shirt on. See,
it's a very nice Star Trek shirt.
Thank you. It was a gift from my students. This is hand.
They know you well.
This is hand shirt painted on by one of my students.
Nice.
They know you well.
Well.
So, what else do we have?
Do we want to talk about like everyone's individual journeys?
Oh, we haven't really talked about Chiana apart from her brattiness.
Yeah. I thought it was a little bit weird and hypocritical that Gianna was telling John, oh, Dargo's probably getting tortured by Scorpius, and no matter what happens, next time I get a chance to get out of here, I'm out of here. And then like the next scene we see her in, Jewel is like saying like, oh, I think I might be leaving the ship on the medical ship. And Gianna's like, you can't just abandon us.
I wouldn't call it hypocritical. I call it chaotic.
Yeah, it's Chiana's.
A little bit of projection, perhaps, like feeling guilty about wanting to leave.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, Gianna doesn't remember that Jewel doesn't have the connection with these people that she has. She is like a new member of the family. She has not made those connections yet. Gianna is well in the mesh at this point.
But Gianna's reasoning was that she saw herself mourning Jewel. So, like, it wasn't that she didn't want Jewel to leave. It's she was convinced that Jewel would die if she left.
Right.
That's true.
This is really interesting, I think, Gianna with this prophecy gift. Our most impulsive character, given the gift of foresight.
because considering others is just exhausting.
But it hasn't been particularly useful thus far.
Yeah.
except for saving Jewel.
Yeah,
I saw myself mourning. Well, I didn't see myself mourning you. I just saw myself mourning.
She's able to know that something's about to happen, and so everybody just sort of tenses up and is on alert.
I think it's funny that I mean, not funny, but like Jewel is mad at her for stopping her to getting on the medical ship, even though the medical ship is pretty much already left. Like it could maybe turn around and come back for her, but like it's pretty, that ship has sailed, pun intended. But like but then the medical ship blows up and Jewel doesn't say like, oh wow, if you hadn't stopped me, I would have been on the ship and I'd be dead.
Yeah, she kind of makes the opposite point. She's like, I could have died with Notchgul, which, like, girl, you just met him. I mean, he's good looking, but you just met him.
Yeah, hell.
But also, like, she is the most upset about the 600 people who died.
Yes.
Yeah. But
it's a whole thing. It's a whole lot. It's a
whole lot. Yeah. Do we believe that Chiana is getting off at the next opportunity?
No. She's never leaving these fuckers.
I bet she leaves.
She talks a good game, but no, she's not going anywhere.
The way she hugged Dargo when he came back on board.
Right. And he actually hugged her back. Like, that was kind of nice.
Yeah,
that's the first time they've been since the whole, you and my son and me and you and less said about that, the better. But it was really nice to see them together.
We may be divorced, but we're still family.
Yeah, and they sort of healed things a little bit with Revenging Angel.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Totally. 100%.
I don't think it's 100% fixed, but that's that's.
Well, I was saying I agree with you 100%.
Yes. They're on the mend, and less said about what happened.
We already mentioned Jothi way too much this episode.
Let's not bring him up again.
That's my goal every time.
He's not quite on the level of Connor, but he is like another child character that I
would rather talk about Connor. Connor is here. Okay, come at me in the comments. Connor is more interesting than Jothi.
Connor from Angel, for context.
Yeah, but I think they did a more interesting thing with Jothi than they did, like, writer-wise, because it was something that made sense for Chiana's character. Breaking out and being that stupidly destructive.
Listen,
if we can't debate New Trek, we can't debate Buffy.
Let's start a separate podcast for our tangents.
It's just going to be called Nerdy Hot Takes.
Oh.
Yeah, we have, this is ground we've gone over. So, like, we are just, I think, not wanting to delve too much into the emotional heartbreak, because there isn't a huge amount of plot to that side of this episode. It's just all feeling. Yeah. And there's just so much feeling.
It's one of those situations where there is no good option.
It's so well done. Like, it's so well done. It's a meal I could eat over and over.
Yeah. But I understand. I know some people really, really struggle with the tonal shift and the blue furries. So I understand. It's like, if it was too much of a tonal shift for you, we get it. I find it a lot, but I still love the other side so much, and I do enjoy Scorpius and Rygel working together.
I come from a background in music, and there are some notes, you play them together and they cause discord, but that does not mean that they sound bad together. They just don't mesh. And that's okay.
Their
metaphors are metaphoring. Mine were not metaphoring.
No, yours were just like making me hungry. I'm reminded of, I think it's the first season finale when Rygel does his triple feint quadruple cross and goes across to try to negotiate with Crais and Scorpius. And I remember the sensation of that episode of it feeling like I was watching three, equals at a table.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pleasantly reminded of that in this episode when Rygel and Scorpius got to square off together. Like they feel like they are on each other's levels in terms of just like power and gravitas, you know?
Yeah, I want more scenes with them together. Like,
Same.
I mean, I know you said they're scary together as a thought, but like, just, bouncing off each other, it works well. Actually, Rygel was really great in this episode. Like, we talked about before about how like he's a great negotiator, that's his contribution. And that's what he was doing in this episode, and he was just really great. Like, he never like once lost his cool throughout that entire situation. He had the entire room under his control.
Rygel, I feel like getting shot in the gun turret in the episode of Furlough and the Wormholes really did a number on Rygel, because ever since then he's been on fire, and I really enjoyed him.
Mm-hmm. So, are you ready to hear the title of the next of the two-parter?
Lay it on me.
Into the Lion's Den.
That is to be expected.
I don't know who will be joining us for that, but we will be discussing it as a whole story, that both parts together.
Looks. I'm looking forward to it, honestly. Like, this season has been really a freight train of fun that has been building up the whole time.
So, what is your favorite part of this episode?
For me, easily when Rygel farts and we get to hear him and Scorpius. Helium. I love a good helium fart.
That was pretty good. The helium farts always come when I least expect them. For me, it was probably the whole shutdown sequence on Talon's command deck. Cray's got his sad Hulk music walk away, and again, Claudia Black and Ben Browder just destroying my heart. It was so great. Top to bottom, that whole sequence was so great.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. And I love I missed that dance. But ultimately, my favorite part, I have to go for just one line. The Ben Mendelsohn guy makes insists Dargo shoot someone. He turns the gun on Scorpius. Scorpius goes, Dominar. And then Butcher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite part. That's I think that is the best Rygel line reading in the entire show.
That was pretty good. That's pretty badass.
God. Like I said, those two together. Magic.
Veins of Steel. Butcher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Ren, the Barbarian, the YouTuber, would you like to tell the folks where they can find you, Ren, the Barbarian, the YouTuber?
I think I will. You can find me here on YouTube as Ren the Barbarian. I make videos when I can about Star Trek and other pop culture. I'm currently working on a long script about Batman stuff. You can also find me on Tumblr, TikTok, Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram as Ren the Barbarian. I'm all over the place. So yeah, come check out my stuff. It's pretty fun.
It is indeed. Josh?
Sorry.
Where can they find you?
You can find me slinging yellow food dishes in the kitchen, in the back, plotting insurance scams in space, but also on Instagram at Josh Gosdin. Come on over and hang out with me. Sorry, what about you?
Space Cowboy.
Josh's weird tonal shift diner recipes will be found on.
Yes. Come for the lentils, stay for the violence.
See you, Space Cowboy.
What about you, Sara? Where can people find you?
I am Sara Ezzat. I make the Fat Culture Critic videos on YouTube. I recently, as of the recording, released my Bridgerton Sucks videos, which is not what I actually called it.
It's a good video.
It's talking about love stories that work and why that one doesn't. And I'm also work as a sort of an outgrowth of that because I had so much fun editing montages of love stories. I am now working on a brief little video, going to be discussing, sort of listing off some of my favorite love stories and why I love them. I don't care. This would be more appropriate and algorithmically friendly if I did it in February, but fuck it.
August is a lovely month for love.
No.
I mean, what else is going on in August?
I fucking hate August. It's hot. It's smoky.
Arbor Day.
Rain, please come back.
It's actually raining right now. There's been thundering all throughout this recording.
Ren, you have to send that shit my way. We talked about this.
No, it's been raining this entire month. Ever since the hurricane blew through, it's like been raining nonstop.
It's dry as a bone up here.
Even for rain, I am not going anywhere near fucking Texas.
This has been the wettest July I've ever seen.
Or America in general.
All right, so on that top note, we should go ahead and sign off.
Ren, thank you very much for joining us once again. It is always a delight to have you.
Thank you for having me.
And we will have you again in season 4, I am sure. And there will be some Firescape adjacent nonsense fun videos in between some of these, so to space things out a little bit, but we will be back.
Leave it in the comments. What do you want to see them all talk about?
Yeah, but we will be back at some point in like probably about a month from this, but we'll see with the recording of Into the Lion's Den, and if editing Sara knows who the guest will be, she will say it now. Zilla will be our guest for Into the Lion's Den Part 1 and 2, and also Zilla and mainly Mandy will join me to discuss Return to Oz in the next Farscape adjacent episode.
Oh my god, that's going to be great. I can't wait to see them.
Wow, that's going to be so fun. I can't wait to listen.
There we go. Now you can pick a take.
Okay, then.
There's a take where we don't know what the hell we're doing, and there's a take where we have it together.
We never have it together, Josh.
It's valid.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there for now. We love you all. Thank you for coming. And you know where our socials are to be found in the doobly-doo, and Patreon links and all that good stuff.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. I refrained from making any S&M jokes in the summary.
Don't worry.
In the summary.
There'll be plenty in the commentary.
Oh yeah. Literally wrote in my notes. Scorpy Braca Dom sub dynamic rears its head again.
I wonder what they have been using those bracelets for.
My question is, if one person wore both bracelets, they would feel like double the pain, right? Or would it cancel out? No, I think it would just double the pain. It's like you could just tap somebody and it would be like, ow.
I wonder.
There's a lot of possibilities, Ren.